Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson, the Nameless love story has a heartbreaking ending. In the fall of 2013, Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan first met in the casting room of Universal Pictures. At that time, they were both relatively unknown names, the cold-faced girl from a prestigious Hollywood family, and the Irish model trying to break out of Calvin Klein's shadow. They were cast as the two main roles in 50 Shades of Grey, a film that took the world by storm. But amidst the spotlight, the violent sex scenes and the pressure of public opinion, something arose, quietly, implicitly, and no one dared to name it, a deep attachment between Dakota and Jamie. "We were never in love, at least never said it out loud." That's what Dakota said in a private interview with Elle, fictional, when asked about the rumored romance with Jamie Dornan after the hit series. "There was no contract that said we had to care for each other like that after the film ended. But we still texted each other every birthday. Jamie was the first person I called when my dad was hospitalized. And I was the first person he told when his third child was born. Their bond, like a string, not tied tightly, but also unbreakable." The trip to Provence, where everything blossomed, in 2021, when the pandemic had subsided, the two were accidentally invited to participate in a short art film project shot in Provence, France. No paparazzi, no managers, no spouses. Just the two of them, and an old house filled with lavender. Dakota was in an unnamed relationship at the time. Jamie had just gone through a family crisis. No one knows what happened on the last night of that trip. But a source close to the press told the press. Dakota sat on the porch for a long time. She didn't say anything. Jamie came out and gave her a robe. They just sat in silence, and then laughed. A very sad laugh. "If things had been different, I might have fallen in love with him." Dakota once wrote this sentence in her personal diary, shared by herself in an interview with director Luca Guadagnino, fictional, after completing an independent film in 2024. "He was gentle, kind, patient and smart. But life is not only about emotions. When I was ready, he was married. When he hesitated, I was lost. We never entered each other's lives, but we were very close, very close." The moments that outsiders don't understand. Many times people caught Dakota and Jamie at the same event even though they weren't together, their eyes always found each other. Backstage at the 2023 Oscars, Jamie was asked, "Do you ever think you missed Dakota?" He laughed, "I think we both missed each other. I used to love you, but now I don't." This was Jamie's last text message to Dakota, as recounted in a fictional article in The Whisperer magazine, March 2025. A message without blame, without resentment. Just a gentle truth. "I used to love you, in my own way. But now I don't, because I can't continue to carry something in my heart that we both know will never work out." Dakota didn't respond right away. It wasn't until 2 weeks later that she sent back a handwritten letter, with just one sentence. "I used to love you too. But maybe we fell in love at the wrong time. Reunited, like two strangers who know everything." In August 2025, Jamie and Dakota appeared together at a charity event in New York. For the first time in more than a year without contact, the host deliberately sat them next to each other. Some viewers recalled, they talked softly, occasionally laughing. But there was no intimacy like before. No more thoughtful eyes. Just two people, who had gone through something very beautiful, and now they have put it down. After the event, when asked about Dakota, Jamie only said, "She was an important part of my journey growing up. And that hasn't changed, even though the relationship ended, quietly closing the chapter of love that no one knows." Dakota Johnson once said, "There is a kind of love that doesn't need to reach the peak. Just need to be." Once, she and Jamie Dornan never publicly announced their love. But the world still felt it. Every look, every gesture, every time they stood silently next to each other, all carried a tenderness that went beyond the framework of friendship. And then at some point, when there was nothing left to hold on to, they chose to quietly close. What remains are memories. A close friend of Dakota, a longtime stylist, once shared. She kept a gray scarf. It was Jamie's. She didn't wear it, just kept it in a box. I asked. She just said, "This is from a time when I loved someone very much," and Jamie, in an interview in 2025 when asked about past feelings, only replied, "I learned one thing from Dakota, that sometimes, keeping someone in your heart is longer than keeping them in your hands." Last words, there are loves that don't need to go anywhere, they didn't come together. There was no happy ending like Hollywood. No one publicly held hands. No proposal. No breakup scandal. Just a relationship that exists like a faint ink stain in the diary of life, faint, but never fades. "I used to love you, but now I don't," is the lightest, but also the most painful, breakup sentence. Because it doesn't complain, it doesn't look back, it doesn't hold on, it's simply over. Speech balloon after the end, both move on, in their own way. Jamie continues with independent films, less famous but more profound. He says, "Acting is now a way to heal nameless wounds." Dakota tries her hand at directing. Her debut film, Somewhere We Never Were, is said to be inspired by her own ambiguous relationship with Jamie. She doesn't confirm, but in one scene, the female character stands before the male character and whispers, "If there is a next life, don't be late. I will wait."